Greetings. Today is November 27th, 2023, and the date is mildly significant, and I'll explain the significance of the date in a moment. But first, I want to open this video with something which the Orthodox Moor said last month regarding Benayah Israel's approach to the Pews, and by that I mean the Pews in Savannah, Georgia. I'll be showing a clip from Moor's video which had a title that began, quote, "Wait, Dr. Pewlittle is out here censoring Zaydok," end quote. And I'll link to the full video in the description. Now, this clip will run for a little bit less than a minute. It's going to run for about 50 seconds, and it touches on a point that seemed worth revisiting on this day. So we'll pick it up at about the 41.5-minute mark, and here's the clip.
Y'all remember this? The take hold of or grasp Yah with the bass voice joint? This is Benayah's translation. That Benayah has, they said in the same documentary, has been confirmed to be Solathreo or whatnot, and there's been no confirmation of such. He let you in on Berean's channel, said they're saving up to pay for a professional translator went out to translate the stuff, and you never see the translation from them ever. But on the documentary you pay for, they're telling you it's been confirmed. Ain't no one confirmed that nonsense, bro. What you talking about? And if they have, source up, prove me wrong, prove me a liar. Because I'm saying you're lying through your teeth to the people while you're taking money from them. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
Okay, now the part that stood out for me most in that clip was when Moore said that Benayah went on Berean's channel and said that they're saving up to pay for a professional translator to translate what was found on the pews. But we haven't heard back from them since. Now, you see, the show that Moore was referring to was titled Putting the Pews to Rest, and it aired on Berean TV back on November 27th, 2020. So today is the 3rd anniversary of that show, and therefore, I want to show a clip of what was said that evening, and I want to note the indirect promise which was made by Benayah, and then I want to cover briefly what has actually happened in the 3 years since then. But before I play the clip, let me give a bit of background to that show. Just 5 days earlier, on November 22nd, again in 2020, Benayah was part of a panel discussion led by Will Brown from the Boom Church, in which they unveiled the incredible claim that David Bunis had confirmed an entire Hebrew sentence on one of the pews. Now, a number of people found that claim rather exciting, but I had noticed that they never showed the actual confirmation, and they never showed the relevant Hebrew text that Bunis had allegedly confirmed. Right? They gave a supposed English translation of the Hebrew sentence, which they alleged Bunis had confirmed, but they never showed the Hebrew sentence itself. It was all very suspicious, and we later learned that they had badly misrepresented Bunis. He had never confirmed the sentence that they attributed to him. But at this point, on the night of November 27th, 2020, we had not yet heard from Bunis. So the misrepresentation of Bunis had not yet been uncovered and demonstrated, and therefore Benayah, Brown, and their supporters were still riding high on the impression that they had demonstrated a coherent Hebrew sentence on a pew, and that they got a scholar to back it. So we're going to pick this up at a little bit after the 9.5-minute mark of the show, and this clip is going to run for a little bit less than 6 minutes. And in the clip, you'll hear me covering the basic problem with the claim being made and why one should be incredulous. And then you'll hear a very cordial interaction between Benayah and myself. And then you'll hear Benayah tell everyone to be patient as they're still working on deciphering the pews and getting the information to scholars and translators. So with that, here's the clip.
So the gist of it is they say they gave the translation of the sentence that they found. They declare, there was a challenge to find a coherent Hebrew sentence on the pews, and they're saying specifically on the pew that Benayah publicly looked at, they found the sentence, they gave the translation, and they say a scholar backs it. My objection is, number one, they never show the precise string of characters, the precise Hebrew sentence that they're allegedly translating. And second, the scholar, the one email they showed, maybe they have other emails where he does endorse it, but the one email they showed was inconclusive. He's not clearly endorsing their translation of this long sentence that they gave. And then to make matters worse, I felt that that was a relevant issue. So I left a comment on their video, and I said, could I have the precise string of characters? And at least 2 different people in the comment section of that video basically told me that I'm not worthy to receive it, that they shouldn't give it to me, almost as if it's a secret. So the challenge has been met, but to find this coherent Hebrew sentence, but I can't, they haven't shown it yet. And there's people insinuating that they won't show it to me or that they shouldn't show it to me.
What are you, is this brother Israel right here? Hey, shalom, shalom, brothers. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm not sure if my audio.
Yes, I can. You sound great. Come on, brother. Shalom.
Okay. Hey, shalom, family. Yeah, I'm catching bits and shalom, brother Jason. How you doing, brother? Hey, so hopefully everybody's doing good. Shalom to you.
I'm sorry. Is this Benayah? This is Benayah Israel?
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on, sir. Let me just say first and foremost that despite the fact that I've been disagreeing with your videos, I hope your posts, I hope it's clear that I respect what you've done thus far, and I really appreciate your 2 public posts on the subject, attempting to transcribe what you saw on the pews. I really appreciate that. I hope that's clear.
Oh yeah, most definitely. In my line of work, I work with a bunch of grumpy old men, very opinionated. So I get that all the time. So that's no problem at all. But yeah, I mean, but you do bring up a valid point as far as getting access to the information. So I do believe that at some point, we'll present all of that out to the public.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's just that it's in flight right now. It's being I can't really speak for Pastor Majors, other than it's going through its processes. And it's kind of funny because like we told people before, we were all approaching this from different angles. When I came up on the whole Pew aspect, I'm following this from the research that I'm doing as far as like the whole Spanish and Portuguese brews and stuff like that. So here I am, I'm arriving at Savannah, and we're going into the history from that standpoint. And when I get to the point of the pews, here's Pastor Kelly and Pastor Majors. They're arriving at the pews at the same time. So we just ended up just meeting at the pews. Now, what I normally do is, and I've done this with, I've worked with, with people like in Portugal. What I normally like to do is like, we'll get documents that are written in a different language. Like, for instance, we were working on the translation of this document called the Manuelian ordinances. Basically, these are the ordinances that the King of Portugal actually written out. Like these are the laws. And if you can imagine, like these are in Portuguese. So so what I would normally do is just go through and just see if there's anything interesting in there. And if I found something interesting, I would throw it over the fence to a professor and say, hey, what do you think about this? Does this have the information that I'm looking for? And he or she would say yes. And then after that, we would go through, the secondary process, which is I would have a couple of people do some translations on it, but I would also send it off to a professional translation company that I would have to pay money out of my pocket. And, based on the number of pages that's in the translation, like the Manuelian document, it can be pretty expensive. So sometimes I have to save up to be able to ship that off to get it translated, and then it takes time to get it back. So I had planned on doing that with the whole Pew stuff. Basically, when I released the video, it was step one. Step one, take a look at it, and just have the cursive Hebrew on one side and have the pews on the other side. And when I tell people, it's funny because like this was the first pew. Like I literally sat down in my chair, pulled up the pew, pulled up the Hebrew cursive, and I'm doing that stare and compare. Say, hey, well, this looks like that. That looks like that. Well, that looks like a word, And so, like I said, I take that, and I actually started reaching out to my contacts overseas because I'm getting ready to try to get this process, and then that's when I kind of linked up with. I hear from Pastor Majors and Pastor Kelly that they're also doing the same work. So we started combining forces on that. So, but yeah, it's in flight. I think like I said, I think you do have a valid point as far as getting access to the information. I'll just say be patient. I think there's they kind of wanted to vet it out a little bit more because I think we're soliciting more than a couple professors so that we can get this thing have a full backing. Because anytime you present something to the public that's going to be an official document, you have to have. It's always nice to have a body of professors that stand behind it.
And like someone is saying right here, that it's a process. It's a process, and it takes time. So even
Okay, so there you heard it. On this day, 3 years ago, Benayah asked people to be patient as he told them that that him and his team were still running the markings by assorted scholars and translators. So at this point, with 3 years having passed, I think we're within our rights to ask how that process is coming along. Has it produced any fruit, right? While Benayah is welcome to share his side of the story, here's a summary I would offer. It's been 3 years since Benayah has made that claim, and he has not shown anything from any scholar, any professor, or any professional translator. And I'm tempted to add that Kelly and Brown hilariously showed an email from a secret scholar who told them that he didn't see any Hebrew in the markings they showed him. Moreover, when Benayah's associate Will Brown unveiled the dubious Richard Katz emails, Benayah tried to run interference for that fiasco. He was claiming that what was originally purported to be a Hebrew scholar in Tel Aviv was actually a scholar of Germanic languages in the state of Georgia in the United States. Beyond that, Benayah has promoted the outrageous claim that sinister forces are threatening the scholars who supported the claim of Hebrew on the pews, with the insinuation being that they therefore cannot produce any support from scholars, as all such scholars have apparently gone into hiding. You know, and at this point, after all these years and all the games and the attempts to poison the well, and the silence on, actual interpretations of the markings on the pews, I must confess, I don't think Benayah has anything to offer. At this point, I strongly suspect that he couldn't find a single scholar who seriously supported the claim of there being Hebrew on the pews. And I think that is why Benayah never followed up on the claim he made on Berean on this date 3 years ago. Of course, others are invited to share their thoughts, whether in agreement or disagreement, so feel free to share any comments, questions, or objections. And God bless.